Welcome back for another episode of The Art of Giving a Damn. Our guests today are Kasey and Brad Wallis, who have one of the most interesting journeys I've heard, from where they were at to what they've decided to do now as their business. So Kasey and Brad, thank you for joining us.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us, Michelle. It's lovely to be here.
Absolutely. So I'm curious if we could just start with kind of the short version of what is your business and what do you do for clients?
We are spiritual leaders. We provide extraordinary workshops and programming to resolve all of your limitations in your life right now. It is a self-empowering journey into the unleashment of your abilities, your inner workings, and your inner magnificence. We don't tell you what that is. We let you unleash it and discover it, and also guide you into using it very, very tangibly in your life. To let go of ill health, ill relationships, money challenges, and all of this, we believe, is in alignment with raising your consciousness. Right?
Yeah, we believe that you are the person that controls everything in your life.
Creator of everything.
You do.
Yeah.
Not somebody outside of you, not others outside of you. When you rely on somebody else to do things for you in your life, you always end up on the short end of the stick, no matter what happens. The great saying, if it's going to get done right, you have to do it yourself. That should be your mantra.
Yeah.
And we teach people how to do that.
Yeah.
We don't force it on you through our programming. We teach you how to do that because you're the one that evidently has to make that decision.
Yeah, Michelle, most people are embedded with fear. They just are. We're embedded with fear from the day that we arrive, and it's a subconscious embeddedment that most people just can't seem to break through. They make some great progress in their life, which is wonderful, but they seem to, at some point, kind of hit a ceiling, and then they kind of bounce back and forth, and they kind of bounce back and forth, and we help you bust through that ceiling, get rid of that fear perspective, into love, and great things happen. Yeah.
Well, that is such a common challenge for people to either kind of abdicate responsibility and not realize they can create their reality, they can make those decisions for themselves. So I love what you said about that, Brad. And Kasey, the idea of it really is something that you've got to deal with those fears. You've got to be conscious enough to address what's really stopping you when you hit those ceilings and get stuck.
Yeah, it's a challenge. A lot of people think that if they address fear energy, we actually address fear energy more than taking you back into trauma. We don't want to reactivate that.
Yeah, we don't want you to relive that.
Yeah.
That's just adding more energy to it.
Yeah.
We want you to be aware of it.
It's an imprint of energy.
Right, and then you can change. Once you're aware of it, you know how that feels anyway. So it's easy for you to even recognize that anymore and change that energy and change the way you're approaching it.
Yeah, it's a disciplined action. We teach you how to do some of the disciplines for it. We walk you through all of those things. It's like anything else, Michelle. When you're first thinking you're going to run a marathon and you're thinking there's just no way, I can't even bust out a half a mile. We say, that's right. It's okay. You can walk first.
Yeah.
Walk first, and we're going to pick up your pace, and we're going to pick up your pace. Pretty soon, Boston Marathon is nothing for you. It's the same thing through an empowering conscious journey. But like you, Michelle, we know you are, fully unleashed in everything that you do in life. It's obvious not only with who you are, but what you present to everybody. And people want that. They look at people like you and they're like, what have you got? How did you get it? Please show me.
Well, I love the comparison of the marathon training because it's something that sometimes we think, oh, I can deal with this mindset issue or this challenge I'm having, this energetic thing one time, and then I'm good. It's a continuing process.
Right. But you're continuing in fear all the time. Why not flip that? People sometimes think that to set an intention and to walk through that practice is hard. It's exhausting. It's just too much. And we say, really? Because like living in fear isn't too much for you? Trying to fix everything, chasing things that go wrong, the chaos and unpredictability in your life, that gets exhausting. It's so exhausting that it lowers your frequency of everything in your life, but you've just become so used to that pattern. It's drinking the poison every day, and you've gotten used to the bad aftertaste, and you don't recognize it anymore. And then you drink the cool, clear water in, and you're like, wait a minute, wait, what is that all about?
And your body reacts also to that immediately. Your body reacts to cool, clear water. And we believe, or we teach, that your body is the first thing that actualizes your thoughts in the first place. So your body's literally telling you whether something's good for you or it's not good for you. And it shows in your body. If you're aging, if you've got sickness, if you've got any health issues, anything that deals with the human body that comes through the body, which is all thought, it shows up in the body. And so we try to get you recognizing that and allowing your body to prove to you exactly what it is that you should be doing.
Yeah, energetically, your body is the projection masterpiece for everything in your life, because whoever you are energetically literally radiates from your body. That becomes your lighthouse, everything that draws everything into you. It's a wonderful system of both science and spirituality. It's not so woo-woo and crazy, that people have to, detach from their own lives. We make programming very usable for your life. We don't want you to hide away in the Himalayan mountains for the rest of your life, or be able to have a boat and a car and money in the bank. There is a beautiful blending science together with that, because as a physical embodiment, as a light being come into physical, you came here to enjoy and love and master the physical, not necessarily to hide from it and have to pick one or the other. You can have everything.
I love that, because I think a lot of people, that is where they get stuck, is they want to seek out the spiritual side and get to know that piece of things, but they don't know how to balance it without, taking a trip somewhere, locking themselves away. So learning how to apply that in everyday life is huge for people.
Right. It's the aspect that brings you joy in your day. It's being in alignment with everything you're doing and finding the joy in it, rather than the detachment that has the misery and ends up being the experience at the end of your physical life of non-fulfillment, non-satisfaction. Like maybe you had to sacrifice, for things.
Yeah.
But when you're in joy with everything you do, it's completely fulfilling, completely satisfying, completely joyous. That's the biggest shift I think we see with people. Yeah.
So speaking of shifts, when I read through the history of, I know you guys have been doing this, about 10 years now?
A little over 10 years.
In this lifetime.
Yeah, in this version of life, you guys came from a really fascinating background, the path that you took to get here. Let's talk about that for a minute, and I'm not actually sure which piece to start with. So you guys, what was your former life careers? Let's start there.
I was a contractor.
Yeah.
Well, before that, I got drafted to play professional baseball, but
just a little thing.
Yeah, it's not a big thing. It's just a thing. And you were a hairdresser.
And my daughter went to work for Brad, answered an ad, kind of a calling for, he was looking for a personal assistant.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that's how she came into Brad's life. I think I cut Brad's hair maybe one time. He was a complete asshole at that time.
I was not.
Really?
And that's the truth. I was not a very nice man. I was very business driven. My business was everything to me, and it was all about you do whatever you have to do to be successful. And sometimes that turned out to be not being a very nice person.
Yeah.
And so I was miserable. I was extremely overweight, miserable, working 14, 18 hours a day, sometimes literally sleeping in my vehicle between jobs. Had over 100 employees, and living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream,
living the dream.
Anyway,
and absolutely miserable.
Yeah. Shortly after Kimberly went to work for Brad, it was just a couple months into it, Brad was in a massive car accident on his way to a job site. She was with me actually in the salon. She's also a hairdresser, and told me, you know, my gosh, Brad's been in a car accident. He was massively incapacitated. We were told that he would not be able to do anything more in his life ever than to possibly be able to pull weeds for a living. And so we became engaged in helping to take care of Brad through his therapy. He didn't have anybody to help him. So that's how we kind of came to know Brad, taking him to his doctor's appointments, helping him with his medications, talking, walking, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and then they stuck me on a new drug, and I overdosed on it because my brain, I had a brain injury, and my brain wouldn't shut down, so I couldn't sleep at night. So I would be awake for 3-4 days at a time, and it was just exhausting for me because your brain really needs sleep in order to reprogram itself and everything. And so they gave me this drug, and it's highly addicting, and I basically took the whole bottle, and 4 pills, from what the doctor said, 4 of the pills that were in the bottle, most people would die from.
Yeah.
And I swallowed practically the whole bottle. So
yeah. So we found him unconscious and non-responsive in his home that night when he wouldn't respond to any phone calls. I started CPR on Brad, and he was transported to the hospital, and he had a crazy near-death experience during that time, right? That changed everything.
Yeah,
right?
I had what I refer to as the picture-in-picture experience, where I was watching what was going on here, and at the same time recognizing there was something going on around me also, and was in great conversation with a high energy group of beings who have been human and who we've come to know as Julius from a past life experience that we've experienced together. But in that past experience, I was their teacher. And in this experience, now they get the opportunity to teach me. And so for 8 hours in human time, I was gone and was being taught what the human experience is all about. And they, of course, asked me if I wanted to come back. And I said, yeah, but only if you're coming with me. Because there's nobody going to ever believe this story. Nobody's ever going to believe that this happened. And so they've come back, and now this is what we do.
Yeah. Brad woke up in the hospital. I started trans-channeling Julius back to him, which was crazy. And they, of course, helped Brad with his healing and his recovery process. And he decided to be crazy enough to stick me in front of audiences so I could do this, despite all of my efforts of saying, oh, sure, I want to do that.
Okay, so what was that point where you guys had the realization that you've had this experience, you've realized that the dream of running your own company that you had wasn't exactly where you wanted to continue? What was that point where you said, we're going to turn this into what we do for a business?
It was the change that he had. Yeah.
That's all me.
Yeah.
That's who I am now. I had to learn how to walk again, how to talk again, and my construction business was just too much. So got out of the construction business, got away from all of that, and practically a year of what I call Julius therapy, teaching me how to think differently, how to activate different parts of my brain. We humans only use 3% of our brains, and it's all the same 3% in everybody's brains. And they informed me at that time that we'll just circumvent that injury, and we'll just activate other dormant parts of your brain, and we'll get you back moving again.
Yeah, but the truth is, Michelle, he lost his business. His business partner took advantage of Brad's injury and embezzled all the money, ran off. And so part of it's desperation, like we're talking about in people's lives. You know, they hit pinnacles and they're forced to make changes. And nobody likes that. You know, your rug is pulled out from underneath you for many, many reasons. And
it's a scary place to be, yeah.
And to have the bravery to pull up the big girl pants or big boy pants and say, okay, we're going in this direction. We know in our hearts and our souls is the profound movement for our change, and invite other people to unleash theirs as well. And yes, it's been crazy. We've had lots of stumbling blocks along the way, but Brad is the fire warrior that will push through everyone and everything. And through extraordinary experiences like this with you, we have reached the masses. And that has been the most incredible journey.
You know, oh, go ahead.
No, it's here we are. You know, here we are in this craziness. It's either crazy or wise. We haven't decided yet.
You know, sometimes I think it takes a little bit of both to succeed with your own thing. And I love that you describe him as fire warrior, because that's one of the things that I see that a lot of people that I interview and a lot of people I work with have in common, is that burning just passion and desire to whatever it takes. This is what I'm here to do right now. This is what I'm going to get out there. And I really admire that perspective when it comes to doing what you know you're here to do at the moment. Because we do a lot of times fall into kind of the first version of business that you built of, okay, let's look at this from a practical standpoint. What are the skills we've got? What do we have to work with? How do we make money? And it's all focused on that bottom line numbers. And when we flip that around and find, whether it's through near-death experience or other pieces of life, what we're here for, and we build around that, it's such a different way to approach business. But it does put you in a completely different place where you can make a real difference for people.
And, you know, it starts with a real difference for yourself. You know, human beings are selfish. Light beings are very compassionate and giving. And just like we were saying earlier, we have this implemented thought that we have to choose one or the other. It's the integration of both that unleashes the superpowers, the superpowers. And everybody has it, Michelle. It's not even something you have to go find. It's unraveling.
It's inside.
That's great news.
It's inside.
Yeah.
It's inside everyone.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes people like us to flip that switch, so you start to recognize that. I remember very early on, Julius told me, your job is not to save everyone, Brad. That's not yours and Kasey's job. Your job is to go turn the light on in people's rooms that are sleeping. And then they can decide whether they want to get up, because most people will just roll over back in bed and cover their head up because they're not ready to be awake yet. And so that has been a very trying learning experience for me, because I want everybody. I want them all.
Yeah, Brad had to learn, we're just turning the light on. You don't have to go shake them. You don't have to throw the bucket of water. They're
that bucket,
run for you.
That bucket of cold water, man. Come on, man, let's get moving. Let's get going. You know, that's the athletic side of me. But you can't do that, okay? you have to be more compassionate.
Invite them.
You have to
Invite them.
you have to bring them along. You have to nurture them. You know, that if you knew that person was you, just having another experience, would it change who you were, or how you dealt with somebody, or how you looked at things? You know, the comment that we make in the world about how we are all one. Well, the only time we're going to be one is when we all recognize that we're all from the original place, we're all from the original source, that everyone else is you. And that is where love begins.
Compassion begins.
Yes.
Yeah, compassion begins. So it's a great journey. We know that a lot of your listeners are on that journey, and we honor that and welcome that. We also know a lot of your listeners may not be on that journey, and maybe that's what's missing. Maybe that's what's missing. And that's where we come in, is to help you discover your missing piece. And then, man, what would be great, though, is if your piece fit into all the puzzles. Wouldn't that be awesome? So we help you learn walk into all the puzzles in your life and make everything fit.
That sounds great. Life definitely goes a lot more smoothly, with a lot more joy, when things fit together.
No doubt.
That's for sure. So I know you guys have a gift to share with the audience. So whether you're watching this or listening somewhere, there's going to be a link right near the audio or video where you can go to get access to a free gift. And do you guys want to share a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, it's a 6-part course to take you into your empowerment. It's going to give you a great example of the courses that we offer that you can take in an ongoingness every month with Julius, that will lead you either easily or aggressively on your journey, depending on your choice. Also, of course, that's going to lead you to the website, expandwithjulius.com, where we invite you to look at all kinds of workshops and mentoring programs we have. And of course, wonderful, wonderful invitations for free videos, free audios, even to just get a sampling and see how the energy resonates with you.
I love that. So I'll make sure, guys, there's a link right near this video or audio where you can go to find that. Their main website, again, is expandwithjulius.com. Make sure you stop by, check it out. And before we let you go, I had one more question for you, and that is, what is your favorite part of what you do in your business?
Watching the light come on in someone's eyes when they start getting it. When we get the stories back, that the changes just magically have started to occur. When you were a child, or when people were children, they thought one of the best things ever was to wake up on Christmas morning and run down the stairs and get those packages that they've been waiting for. And that was the I-Ching, the Christmas morning, the Hanukkah celebration, whatever it was, the birthday. Then you get to a point in your life, Michelle, where you realize that the greater joy is being the parent sitting in the room watching the child open the gift. That's our greatest joy.
And if you're not the parent, at least the friend who's allowed to give the gifts to others.
Right. That's it for us.
That is a beautiful description. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, for sharing a little bit of your story, what you do for clients. I think the world needs more people who have turned that light on and who are excited, passionate, living life with joy and doing what they're here to do. So thank you for being an example for us of how to live that.
Thank you, Michelle, for being a wonderful facilitator for us to share. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you. Guys, make sure you click subscribe wherever you are watching or listening at, and catch the next episode of the podcast.